the atrium, and this is our breakfast. Nobody else is up. Just by the grand staircase and the tapestries, as one does. We've got little cupcakes and pastries and things, orange juice, and they're going to bring coffee in a moment. We said specifically we didn't want too much. We don't want bacon and cheese and all of that. So just little things. Well, it's morning, and today we're going to Villar de Mazarife, and it's now 6:30, just gone, so I'm quite sorry to be leaving here. We've enjoyed the rest day in León a great deal, particularly staying where we are, which is completely over the top. I met an English couple yesterday, and they were sort of wandering around with suitcases by the entrance to the garden here, looking at their phones, and then looking at the facade of the building and looking back at their phones. And I hadn't heard them speak. I just thought they looked English, and they looked retired, pretty well settled, that sort of person. And I asked, in case they weren't English, I asked in Spanish if they were looking for anything, and they said, "Our hotel, the Parador." And I said, "Oh yes, this is it," and pointed to the front. And they said, "Really? We thought it too magnificent." And that's what we thought. I knew it was a big hotel because I've seen the way, and thought, yes, let's just get it. 2 nights, it'll be a big thing, a special thing, and it seems more over the top than I thought it was going to be, really. God. But it's been absolutely fantastic. I mean, yesterday we just wandered around because the place itself is a museum. Morning. So it's very good that everything is covered with cling film, but you do have a bit of a sort of problem getting it all off. So I think I'm certainly feeling a little bit tired still. Hence, when I was saying that we're going to Villar de Mazarife today, what I actually meant was we're going to Vivante today. I constantly confuse Vivante with Villar de Mazarife. I don't know why. Villar de Mazarife was, last time we were here, it was a different section altogether, and we didn't stay there. Vivante, however, is the southern route of the 2 options from leaving León. If you go north directly to Astorga, I think a lot of people will stop off at San Martin, but there are lots of, I keep thinking of them as polígonos because that's the Spanish word, which I think is a fantastic word for sort of factories that are new build types, that are very angular and so on. Polígonos, much better word. We're probably, I think, going to avoid those, and instead we take a more scenic route along the south. It's about 3 kilometres longer, but we'll stop off at Villavante on the way. Well, we won't be the first. I guess a lot of these people have had to walk all the way across León as well, or at least halfway. That's where we'll be heading, down across that bridge. I'm waiting for more pilgrims to come, but they're not. Not yet. I'm really surprised there weren't more people having breakfast. I mean, we've been told that there wouldn't be anyone there, and there wasn't anybody there. But I mean, it's now just gone 7 o'clock. It's a pilgrim. The loneliness of the long-distance pilgrim. More pilgrims. They're not coming across the square. Some of them are coming up through the tree-lined walkway over there. And they've been taking photos by the pilgrim statue. Maybe we'll go and do that at last. It's our time. So I realised, what with having pain and having the sciatica that returned, that my walking shoes are basically shot to pieces. I've been super gluing them because the foam's been coming apart, and I've been keeping an eye on them. and I thought maybe the foam hasn't really got much bounce left in it. They're Nikes, they're really good shoes. Not really walking shoes, they're running shoes. So we went to El Corte Inglés and I tried on lots of different types and concluded in the end that the support had gone and other shoes were more comfortable, more supportive and had more bounce. Also that my insoles, which are pour-on foam that I cut myself, I cut out of a large kind of A4 sheet of it, they've basically disintegrated in places. I hadn't thought to check that, I just didn't really think it could happen. Don't know why. So basically I've got, courtesy of Andrew and some birthday money that I had left over from when I got a drone that didn't work out, I now have a new pair of New Balance Hierro running shoes, but with Vibram soles, so that the section coming up quite a few days from now, it's about a week away, there's a downhill section which I believe has a lot of quite difficult loose rock and so on, so it'll probably be quite good for that. But more importantly, hopefully, my sciatica and my sore feet and everything, which comes from, it's like referred pain from the trapped nerve, hopefully that will be better now. So these are my new shoes, and I have to say that I would never normally choose shoes this colour. I think they look like Barbie is wearing them when I've got them on. Don't have a problem with pink. I mean, I've got pink shorts. Look, I've got pink shorts. They're drying down there. But they are comfortable, and that's what matters. And I kind of had to give myself a bit of a telling off for thinking, but they're that pink. Well, it's been a lovely room. You can see I'm taking my old shoes with me just in case I encounter problems. Hard to part with them because I love them. But they're a bit like walking with slippers on now, which isn't the best. Much as they're super comfy, they're not the greatest on pebbly roads. Goodbye, lovely cloisters. Goodbye, ridiculous living area. Goodbye, Cavalier on horseback, which is probably an original, but I need to ask. So I asked, and yes, the paintings are all originals. I was thinking they're so close to, in the restaurant, they're right next to the tables, and you've got sort of, I remember when we were in Bruges, in the galleries there was a really funny video they'd put together, and it showed things not to do near the paintings, and one of them was eat. And they've got original paintings right next to the table. So it's an incredible place. I mean, you can just go up and you can, I mean, you shouldn't touch the paintings, but you can really, it's worth going to if you can stretch to it. It really is. A completely different experience, obviously, to being in an albergue or whatever. But you only live once, so try everything. So yeah, this is where the Camino San Salvador and the Camino Frances meet. Maybe there are steps so you don't need to do the ramp. That it's blocked off anyway. We're all confused. We're going to have to go over the road, I think.
I didn't know where it was going, really.
Well, it's taking us over, in theory, over the train line. Yes, there is actually a sign, so we're here, and we have to go round. I just saw the Camino sign and thought, it's a Camino bridge, because apparently, however many cups of coffee wasn't enough. La Tercera San Pedro. Well, these new shoes, they haven't got anything like enough muck on them yet. They need a lot more soil on them, and I hope that by the end of today they look vaguely worthy of me. I feel somewhat better knowing that I have a pair of mucky old shoes attached to my backpack, so they're like my trophy sort of medal of accomplishment. Presumably they're all bodegas, or for smoking meats and things, curing meats. So I thought this was just a quirky advert for a cafe, but actually, I don't know, it looks quite like it's just set up outside. It says there's a toilet, which would not go amiss right now. It looks quite a quirky little place. ¿Cómo te llama?
Manuel, me llamo Manuel.
Manuel.
Okay.
And he's been here for 3 years. This is showing where all the different pilgrims have come from in Europe. Of course, many from the US, I suppose, as well. And we've even got somebody from Iceland. Over 4 days. Someone from Moscow. It's the previous days. All over, many people from Germany actually, and Holland. I think the west coast of Ireland and the middle need to pick it up a bit. Nobody from the Czech Republic. That's probably to do with Ukraine, I imagine. So, you can see, yeah, nobody from Alaska. Nobody up here. Down here, South Africa, of course. Some here. And then we are seeing quite a lot of people from places like Korea in particular, Australia, New Zealand, New Caledonia. It's interesting. Kyrgyzstan. And then previous week. Ooh. So we're now walking through La Virgen del Camino, and after we pass through this we'll take the turn off to the left to take the southern route, where some people will be carrying on and going straight through San Martin toward Astorga. We'll take the route that loops down through to the south, which is more rural, apparently prettier. And we're staying in quite a small little village tonight at Casa Rural that I've read very good things about. It's called Molino Galochas. It's a watermill. I think it's just run by a family. I spoke with a lady on the phone while we were walking through León just to confirm the booking. We had a bit of a chat. Haven't seen any familiar faces except for the lady of the gourd who we saw outside the hotel today. So, quite surprised because we did speak to a lot of people who were having one rest day and then moving on. So I wasn't expecting to see so many new faces. A couple of people letting on to us then as we walked past. Anyway, we've got about 20 kilometres to go. So I suppose that's about 15 miles, thereabouts. 14 miles. Not too bad. And it is 9:15. So it seems I was way off with my conversions. We've actually got 20.9 kilometres, so I should call it 21, and it's about 13 miles. So I overestimated the mileage then, it makes more sense. Now I'm seeing a sign here for one Camino straight on, one Camino left. The sign with the shell underneath the ordinary Camino sign there. Oh no, it's not at all. It's just left for an albergue. So a bit further on. So this is where we have to cross. Waiting for the red man to turn into a green man. So the fountain of Canyin, don't really know what it means. Maybe it is actually, well, it is bubbling over there. Oh, there's a fountain. That's why it's bubbling.
Make a film, no?
We're walking with Ilias, who has started today in León. Quintana Reneros. Fresno del Camino is sort of at 2 o'clock. 4 o'clock is Camino. 9 o'clock is Camino. Camino, Camino, Camino. Camino, Camino. Camino, Camino, Camino. All ways lead to the way. Well, it seems that the little restaurant down there is quite the meeting place. We've spotted and chatted with a lot of people that we've got to know along the way. And they were telling us that most people seem to be taking this southern route rather than the one that goes along the road, for obvious reasons. So we've got less than 10 miles left. I don't quite know how we've done that really, but 5 to 10. So we were a bit concerned because it's one of our longer days again. It is a bit of a question mark when you have a few days which are regularly longer lengths than you're used to doing. I always have in my mind people that are doing through hikes, for example, you know, the Pacific Crest Trail, and they work up to doing 30 miles a day, and they're doing mountains. Albeit they often get up at 3 or 4 in the morning and then they will walk until 5 at night. So, you know, if you're doing that, I guess you would get used to that too, but with a lot more equipment as well. For me, with the health problem, I don't know whether I could ever carry that much. And maybe I should stop thinking about it. Oncina de la Valdoncina. Oncina de la Valdoncina. This is a nice place. There's an albergue down there called Albergue Pajar, as in the one at Arguez, which was El Pajar de Arguez, the haystack. And there's a place we just passed that has artificial grass laid out, almost like a golfing green, and sells ice cream at the far end. Be a nice place to have a stop a bit later in the day, I think.
All kinds of people, sometimes people with mental health difficulties. So what's the parents then? We just read.
Hola, buen camino.
There are some very steep hills though.
Well, this is really quite reminiscent of the Roman road section that we did when we walked from Ledigos to Casa de los Hermanos, the section that hardly anyone else took. Even what we're walking on, actually the day following that as well, from Ledigos through Reliegos to Mansilla de las Mulas. I'll show you what we're walking on. So it's a good dirt road, clean shoes, bright pink. What do I need to do? I know. So I think there are beehives in the distance over there. I can hear bees actually. Well, we're almost under the 300 kilometre mark. 1.1 kilometres to go till we reach that. Ah, here we go. So we've come from León, which was way over that way, and we've taken this road instead of following the road that way. And the next stop, which I think is going to be at the bottom of a riverbed, Chozas de Abajo, and then most people seem to be stopping in Villar de Mazarife. We've got about the same distance as from there to there to do further on to Vivante. I was just thinking as I was walking along about my friend Patricia in Madrid, who has an infected jaw and she's having an operation today. So while we've been walking along, I've been sending her a message up here. I hope she's going to be okay. We had planned to meet her, of course, when we first arrived. I say of course because I mentioned it in an earlier video. And we couldn't do that because she's been so unwell. Poppy fields again, and a cuckoo. We're not seeing many, or up until now we haven't been seeing many ripe crops, but this one certainly is. Look at the barley. It's so soft, I just want to stroke it. Seen with stalk and tractor.
Yeah.
So we're entering Chozas de Abajo. It says there's a bar and a cafe this way. So this is the way we will go. Well, this is not actually on the Camino, it's a short way off, but you follow the yellow arrows and what they've written on the floor, which says bar this way, all these different yellow arrows leading you to the bar. And they do their work without the owners having to do anything else. All the peregrinos make their way over here, following the arrows. So I was talking to the owner of the donkey, and he is actually walking the whole of La Frances with his donkey. And I'd previously heard that people who try to do that, they walk until the donkey doesn't want to walk anymore. But he was saying that his donkey always wants to walk. He lives with it in France. And he just went in and bought one. Oh, absolutely. Oh.
So from where you are, the easiest way is to go back up to the cathedral and then turn left and go across the front of the cathedral.
It's existed since 1257, I think it said there. The village. I think they're proud of their connection to the Camino as well. Little luxuries that one should not bring on a trip like this, but one has anyway. For me, one of them is for my sunglasses. Last time I found that because I'm using sun cream all the time, my sunglasses would get sun cream smudged on them. So I got a little bottle with a spray on it and put some lens cleaner in it, and it makes a big difference. I've just stopped by that little pond with the frogs in it and cleaned my glasses with actual glasses cleaner. I don't like looking at smears. I don't know how people can. The mirage. I think there's a car coming. I think there might be a donkey to the right of it. But it's a bit hard to tell. Definitely a car. Just walking along thinking about what a big sky it is. It's funny how the sky can seem big sometimes. These are huge.
It's salsify.
It's salsify. Really?
Yellow salsify.
Yellow salsify, Andrew tells me. I associate salsify with, well, wouldn't have thought I'd find it growing at the side of the road, let's just say that. These rows of sort of dead twiggy trees are somewhat odd. His name's Abierta.
but that was too much stress for him, for me, with the traffic. In Logronio that was difficult too. But it's not possible, so I've decided to cut costs like that.
Hola. There are many peregrinos ahead, which surprises me because we haven't seen many nor spoken to many that weren't staying in Villar de Mazarife. I think this is the first part we've come to where we can see ahead of us the mountains, I guess, of Galicia that we'll be heading into. And they look a little bit daunting. Maybe we'll be passing through them. I know at one point we'll be going high up into them. They're quite a way off still. I can see the man and his donkey as well. So I seem to have developed a little trait of carrying fruit about my waist. Today I have, I don't know whether you can see that, a little parcel of cherries. And they have been sort of leaking through. Sometimes they beep when they see pilgrims, probably particularly pilgrims with cameras. Yes, so they've been sort of leaking out of the bag slightly. It's got a bit sticky. I think it's probably time for me to eat the cherries, and I think I'll be disposing of the stones and choosing where we'll have cherry trees. Well, we still have some way to go, but on this tower there's an advert for the Hotel Rural where we'll be staying, the Molino Galochas there. It's a watermill, and I've heard very good things about it, so we're looking forward to that.
That looks lovely.
Having eaten all of my cherries, I now have to eat a peach as well, because otherwise this will turn to mush. I think some of the cherries were arguably turning alcoholic. I'd fermented them around my waist, I think, in the sun. But now we have a peach from Mancia de las Mulas, so that's a couple of days old, very ripe, and I'm going to enjoy a peach. It's a very good peach, very good peach. I want them to slow down for the little donkey. Oh, dragonfly. Well, this is a very long road in both directions. It's just straight. You see the donkey ahead of you, a bit of a mirage, and it continues like that. I was thinking one of the benefits that I hadn't expected of bringing lens cleaning fluid with me, and a little microfiber cloth, is that when you drop peach juice onto your sunglasses, because they're directly underneath where you're eating, you can easily get it off. A bit of tissue to begin with, and then a bit of lens cleaning fluid. The tissue wasn't anything like enough. No. Frogs. Ooh. there's a fenced off area we've been passing, and I wonder what it was. It reminded me a bit of Burgos Airport. It's actually Finca Las Matillas. It's under the presumably ownership of the Diputación de León, the local government, I suppose, province. If you're ever walking a Camino and you suddenly feel like your knees can't take it, and your feet can't take it, sometimes all you need is a bit of froggy action and everything feels fine again. It's true. The froggy pain relief was quite short-lived, so currently okay. Glad I got my new shoes. I think they're probably protecting my feet quite a bit. However, pain in my ankles, the back of my ankles, pain under the soles of my feet, pain behind my knee, which I always get, occasionally dislocating rib, or partially dislocating I should say, subluxating, and sometimes pain in the front of my knee, which is a new one, and I'm hoping that doesn't develop into anything. So I'm just trying to walk in a symmetrical way, well balanced, thinking about my core muscles as well as thinking about where we are. But it does become quite a bony business. You start thinking about bones rather than necessarily muscles. And it's a relief to have things happen in the environment around. I'd like to be a proper endurance athlete. Don't know how they do it. And another thing, my pack isn't even as heavy as it sometimes is because there's no water really in it. I'm pretty low on water. I've got a lot of electrolytes in one of the bottles that's got a little bit of water left. So I'll fill up in the next town probably. But the pack feels heavy. I was thinking about how I'm carrying extra shoes now. I've tied them to the top of the pack. Just in case the new ones, I have problems with them, then at least I've still got my backup pair. Don't really want to part with them. Certainly not until I know that I'm okay with these new ones. But I want to be able to carry more. I want to be able to carry enough to be sufficient. So San Martín del Camino, which is on the main route, which follows the road, is 3 kilometers to the right. Villar de Mazarife is 4 kilometers behind us. Vivante is 4 kilometers to our left. However, we're going a shorter way actually, cutting straight across here. So hopefully it will be more straightforward than that for us. We're a little bit nearer. It's always funny crossing roads. And I'm glad we haven't been walking along the main one. It's been an off-road as it is really. Although some of it was beautiful today. Crossing the canal again. We're at an official rest stop. It's not really official. Because we're all just a bit too tired to go much further into Vivante. But we've figured we've got about 3 kilometers left. So we're heading off now. Everyone seems to have found that road just a bit much. So I'm not the only one. And there seemed to be widespread agreement that the frogs were a highlight, which they definitely were. So a little bit of a recharge having sat down on those 2 benches by the canal. And nice to chat to a few people. There's another long road.
Is that it?
Andrew's asking if I think that's it. I think maybe that's it. But I don't think Villavante is a very large place. I think that must be it though. Where we're staying is on the far side of it. You sort of leave the town and then, or village, and then a bit further on is where we're staying. But it's very green now. There's a lot of, this part isn't being farmed in quite the same way. Well, yellow iris is growing in the field just to the right there. And we're closing in on pylon number 5. Just some more pylons to go. It's so full of flowers and pretty. Can't hear frogs here though, in this part. They were further down. We're approaching the 10th pylon. Two kilometers to go. The sun is coming. And I've lost count of the pylons. I think this must be at least 12. So I think we're coming into Vivante. Or we're not far off at least. A water tower and a church, that's a good sign. Lots of buildings. Peregrinos gathering around the natural spring. Ah, Camino goes this way. So here's the dilemma. We're both pretty dead on our feet. The place we're staying is down there, and there is a sign to it, it's down there. However, the official Camino takes us through the village, and it might be a good idea to see what's in the village anyway. So I think we're probably going through the village, even though we don't strictly need to. Information about Villavante. It talks in particular about the green gold, which is hops in this area. It's one of the important hop growing regions for cerveza making, beer making in Spain. So that's the Albergue Santa Lucia. And everyone else seems to have gone in there. So I haven't spoken to anyone else who's staying where we're staying. Campaneros. Yeah, there's a special celebration in August when they ring the bells. Interesting brickwork. So this is where we separate from the Camino. Casa Rural, Molino Galochas.
am movement now. But once I try and stop.
So the lovely, lovely lady Christina at the Hotel Rural not only gave us drinks, so I have a beer, she also suggested I could put my feet in the water trough, and she brought me a towel to dry off. And I have inspected my feet with my new shoes, and I have no problems whatsoever, no blisters or anything. I do, however, have a heat rash, so this cool water is bliss. Have I mentioned how good this feels? Look at what we've got. We've got salad and soup, and I'm half asleep. I'm so tired today. We got to the room and I've just been lying down, and all sorts of things I wanted to do. I did do a little bit of writing though. We've got this lovely, lovely place. And this is the main course. And lastly, it's a caramel flan. I haven't actually had a flan yet while we've been here. So this will be the first. That's our little bungalow for the night. And this is the view that they use in the adverts that you'll see in the photos on their website. Just earlier we were sitting on the grass over to the left there, and that channel, I don't know if you can see, I'll point it out, the channel that's just there is where I was putting my feet, because they suggested that I might want to cool my feet off after the long walk. The walk, by the way, we found out wasn't the 28 kilometres we thought. It was in fact 33. Which is, by the time you take into account that this is actually on the far side of Via Tuata, it was about 21 miles. Plums. So I thought I'd say a few words about today, because I think often when I've heard about people doing kind of long through hikes or the Camino or, you know, anything of this type, there's a point at which things sort of come to a head a bit, and I was expecting that to probably happen at some point. And maybe it hasn't yet, I don't know. Maybe sometimes it doesn't. You know, wouldn't it be ideal if you just do all of these things and everything is just a breeze? But when I got here today, because we'd ended up doing probably more miles than we'd expected to, and we'd left probably a bit too late, particularly given how many miles we did end up doing, And I've had this accumulative effect, and it's basically sciatica that I've had trouble with, which is sending pain into my feet, which is why I've got the new shoes that are a bit more supportive, and they've got more cushioning in them now. That's actually active cushioning. But of course it means I'm walking in new shoes, so there's no guarantee of no blisters or rubbing or anything. And it was just, there was a lot of the way was on road. I found myself at times happy when I encountered sort of stones and pebbles because my feet were at slightly different angles. It just felt like pound, 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 pound for a long way, which is okay. I mean, I don't necessarily mind that, but the point is that when I got here and the lady suggested that I put my feet in the water, it was strange. I mean, first of all, it was very, very kind of her to suggest that. I mean, maybe they often do. Maybe it's an obvious thing for them that they've got this channel of water and it's cool, refreshing water. But it was just such a lovely gesture that she saw that we were sitting at the back and we'd taken our drinks around there. And she said, would you like to put your feet in the running channel of water? It sort of goes around the back of where the mill is. I kind of pointed it out a minute ago. And she brought me a towel and I put my feet in the water and I just my feet were so sore and I didn't know it. Like the backs of my heels, I guess that's the sciatica thing, it goes into the backs of your heels. And when I took my socks off from the new shoes, there were no problems, I had no blisters or anything, but I did have a heat rash, so I put my feet in this water and I just sat back on this chair and might have cried a little bit. It was sort of just relief hitting me, and all of a sudden all of the walking and everything just, I don't know, you kind of get to these moments, I think, where it all just comes together a bit. So, and it's just such a wonderful place, and I felt so sort of, I don't know, sounds really daft, doesn't it? Anyway, yes, I had a bit of a moment full of gratitude and can't quite believe how wonderful it is to be here, but also I wish I could carry a lot more and go further and not be such a just bag of physical problems. On the other hand, we did actually arrive ahead of some people. So I'm actually not doing so badly, and I am carrying probably too much in my backpack, but I want to carry more, so... And now I've got an extra pair of shoes to carry, because what if the new ones actually cause problems? So I've strapped them to the top of the pack, as you've probably seen. So that's just a few little thoughts about today. I then, actually, after bathing my feet and being all red-faced, and I've obviously had a bit of a cry, went and lay down on the bed in the room and just sort of... Well, had a bit of a shower, not a very long shower, and then just lay there and went into a meditative sort of state, and the next thing I knew, they were knocking to say that they were serving dinner on the table outside the bungalow. It's an absolute... I can't say enough. It's just such a magical place. It's as though they're not just guests, not just entertaining guests at a hotel. They kind of nurse people as well. It's like they're used to the state pilgrims walk in. And she said to us, 33 kilometres from León is a long way. It's too much. So they're obviously used to it, I think. You feel that kindness is a miracle in some way, being here. Anyway, Molino Galochas. Absolutely marvellous place, and it's really touched me today, and I had a bit of a moment. Andrew just came and pointed out to me that they're growing vegetables. They've got a vegetable garden, and also noticed that this is all wheat. And of course I've just been seeing poppies, and he was saying that really the poppies are the weeds among the wheat. You don't think of it that way, do you, though? I can smell mint really strongly. I don't think that's mint. It's really strong though. Una huerta, an allotment, vegetable garden. So you'll have to excuse the fact that we've sort of thrown things all over the place in the room because we were so tired when we came in. But it's a lovely room. There were 2 double beds, so I had to lie down here earlier, and I've been spreading my things out on this bed trying to sort through them. But it's lovely. There's a sofa. There are 2 chairs here. There's a very, very honky-tonk piano, wood-burning stove, kitchen facilities and a fridge. Listen. Tidying away.